Here's Columbia University students on April the 20th, 2024. This is all public record. I'm reading this now. This is on, I guess it's X. Columbia University students yelling at Jewish students, and I quote, "Never forget October 7th. It will not happen, it will happen, not one more time, not 5 more times, not 10, not 100, not 1,000, but 10,000 times. The 7th of October is going to be every day for you." The 7th of October, this is to Jewish students, is going to be every day for you.
Greetings one and all. Super Fridays here in the Holy Land, in the Holy Synagogue. Od Yosef Chai, Joseph lives on. Elon Moreh. We are on the second day of the second month, ER, of the Jewish calendar, 5784. It's been a little bit of a break. It's good to be back always. And once again, we have our opening lines we cannot forget. This class is always for the sake of heaven, to bring out the divine presence from the exile, to improve ourselves one little step, to progress one little step. Also, a big thank you for the sponsor of our channel, Mike, doing his great things in the northern and southern part of Israel with all of his volunteer work. We don't know where the country would be without him. A big hat tip also to the great Tomer Dvorah blog. Check it out, Tomer Dvorah blog, #1 in the world. And also to our great cameraman, homegrown, Elchanan Gilboa, always behind the scenes here. Okay, perhaps the most important class that I've done. I like to look at all the classes as important, but this one has a lot of stake. A lot is at stake. Okay, the golden era of American Jewry has come to a crashing end. Let's look first. This class is going to be divided into 4 parts. Part number 1, we're going to look in some statistics. Part number 2, the Torah view, how to look at the problem. Number 3, America in crisis. And number 4, solution, is Israel safe? Okay, so we're going to take it to the top. You know the 4-point plan here. So let's do it. In 2021, the ADL tabulated 2,717 anti-Semitic incidents throughout the U.S. That was a 34% increase from the incidents of 2020. That made it the highest number of incidents since the ADL began recording and tracking anti-Semitic incidents in 1979. Once again, this was the highest in 2021. It was the highest ever recorded in 40 years. Moving right along, 2022. The ADL tabulated 3,697 anti-Semitic incidents. This was a 36% increase from the 2,717 incidents in 2021. Once again, breaking the record of 2021. So 2021 was a record-breaking year. 2022 broke the record of 2021. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, today released the final statistics for anti-Semitic incidents in 2023, reporting a total of 8,000. Take a look at that jump from last year. 8,873 incidents of assault, harassment, vandalism across the U.S. This total represents a 140% increase from 2022, which itself, 2022, was a record-setting year. Listen to this amazing statistic. The 12-month total for 2023 surpassed the totals of all the past 3 years combined. Averaged about 24 anti-Jewish incidents per day in the U.S. Amazing. Anti-Semitism is nothing short of a national emergency, a five-alarm fire that is still raging across the country and in our local communities and campuses, said Jonathan Greenblatt, ADL CEO. Jewish Americans are being targeted for who they are at schools, work, streets, Jewish institutions, even in their homes. They go into detail. The ADL report goes here into detail of the assaults. 161 incidents were categorized as assault, harassment. There were 6,535 incidents of harassment. They give the definition. Vandalism, there was 2,177 incidents. Vandalism. 1,987 incidents targeting Jewish institutions, synagogues, community centers, Jewish schools. That's an increase of 237% in 2022. The states with the highest number of incidents were California, drum roll please, 1,266. Right closely behind them, New York, 1,218. New Jersey, 830. Florida, 463. Massachusetts, 440. These combined 5 states in America accounted for 48% of the total incidents, just in 5 states. According to the AJC, American Jewish Congress, here are some of their findings. 63% of American Jews say the status of Jews in America is less secure compared to 1 year ago. The same question asked in 2022, 41% of Americans responded they feel less secure. 2021, 31%. Look at that. Within 2 years, it's gone up from 31 to 63% of American Jews believe the status of Jews is less secure compared to previous 2 years. Amazing. Next, 78% of American Jews who heard about the Hamas terrorist attack in Israel say the attacks made them feel less safe as a Jew in the United States. Third statistic, 46% of American Jews say they altered their behavior out of fear of anti-Semitism. In 2022, the same question, do you alter what you do in order to keep a low profile, not express your Judaism. In 2022, it was 38% of American Jews, a very significant 8% jump. Anti-Semitism on the campuses. 24% of current or recent college students say they felt uncomfortable or unsafe at a campus event because they are Jewish. 24%. Don't forget, these statistics came out a while ago, before the what we've witnessed in the past month or so in universities really became bad. So think about that one. 1 in 4 current or recent college students say they avoided wearing or carrying or displaying things that would identify them as Jews out of fear of anti-Semitism. 1 out of 4. 1, anti-Semitism online or social media. More than 1 in 5 American Jews experienced anti-Semitism online. 22% reported that the online incidents made them feel physically threatened. 62% of American Jews reported seeing or hearing anti-Semitism online or on social media in the past 12 months. Folks, but don't worry, we have the Calmers. You know the Calmers? Yes, we do. They are here to calm the Jewish people down. Despite the unprecedented challenges, American Jews must not give in to fear, Greenblatt said. Even while we fight anti-Semitism, we should be proud of our Jewish identities and confident of our place in American society. It may not feel so right now, but we have many more allies than enemies, and we call on all the good people of will to stand with their Jewish friends and neighbors. Greenblatt. Yes. Nothing to be alarmed about. Besides for the statistics, of course. Okay. Those are some of the statistics. The Torah view. We have in the tractate of Bava Batra, page 73, side B, a list, 21 allegories, stories, wild, you might call them science fiction type, stories about Rabbi Bar Chana. One of the 21 stories is the following one. There was a boat out at sea sailing when that boat came upon what looked to them to be an island. They anchored the boat right next to this island that they thought was an island, and there they began living it up, cooking, baking. Little did they realize this was no island. In fact, this was a gigantic whale. Over a period of extended time, on the back of the whale, sand, layers and layers of sand on the back of the whale. Don't forget, this is an allegory. And then on the sand, there was tremendous amount of vegetation. So, to the innocent eye, this was an island. But after living it up, shaking, baking, cooking, all of a sudden, this island begins to rock and roll. And if not for the fact that our sailor anchored the boat right next to the island for a quick escape, he would have been killed. He would have died. What does this mean? What is the lesson for us? The Rabbi Eliezer Chaim of Scalia, Europe. He was born in the middle 1800s. He understood this Talmud passage in the following light. The island, which was really a whale, which was really dangerous, the island was Europe. The boat was America. Rabbi Eliezer Chaim, as much as he could, not like today's social media, you get out things to thousands, millions of people within seconds. Whoever he would speak to, it is dangerous for the Jews of Europe. We must get out. The boat is America. That is where our safety lies. Can imagine how they laughed him off. But sure enough, in the year 1892, talk is cheap, so the rabbi took his family and some of the members of his congregation, and they sailed to America. An amazing prophecy by Rabbi Eliezer Chaim. Who listened to him? Fast forward. There was a Torah scholar named Rabbi Yisrael Schenkman. He was the head rabbi of a Jewish court in Lita in Europe. Later, he moved to Atlantic City and he became the head of the Jewish court in Atlantic City. From Atlantic City, he moved up to Jerusalem. He has a commentary on the Talmud. It's called Tiferet Yisrael. On the tractate of Bava Batra 73b that we just quoted, in this more progressed take, moving years up, here's the take of Rabbi Yisrael Schenkman. The island is the world where Jews live. It seems like a safe place until one day it starts to rock and roll, to shake and bake, gets heated up. The boat is Eretz Yisrael. Amazing. So in the times of Rabbi Eliezer Chaim, the island was Europe. The boat, the saving light was America. Moving forward in the times of Rabbi Yisrael Schenkman, the island was where Jews lived in the world, in Europe, in America. And the boat to safety was the land of Israel. Prophetic, both of them, prophetic. Folks, just 2 weeks ago, we sat down, most of us, we sat down for the Passover Seder. And the centerpiece, the main story of what happened in Egypt, the sequence of events, the chronological play out of what happened in Egypt begins from the words, Tseu lemad, go out and study. Take time and study. Take time, study. What's the burning issue here? What Lavan wanted to do to Jacob. He wanted to decimate Jacob and his family. Okay, we know the story. We know the story. But amazing words. They're worth their value in gold. Tseu lemad, go out. Take a break, time out. Learn this portion. This is the prototype of all history. If we want to understand Jews in foreign lands, how it plays out, how it begins, smiles, love, hugs many times, and how it eventually turns out to be a disaster. You know, I always tell kids that I teach, when they start putting up the gloves to fight, I always tell them it begins with laughing. We're only playing. But it ends with crying. I like to call Lavan means white. I like to call it the White House. So let's delve in and really study this prototype. If you understand what the Passover Haggadah story is telling us, you're in the major leagues. This is called early detection. What happened between Jacob and Lavan? Early detection. Okay, 20 years. Jacob lives, works, marries Lavan's 2 daughters, Rachel and Leah. In the merit, our sages tell us that in the merit of Jacob's presence in the White House, the house of Lavan, Lavan merits to have male children. Up until that point, he only had females. Now he had male children. Because of Jacob, the verse clearly says, Lavan admits to the fact that he has obtained his wealth through the merit of Jacob. He admits his success is due to Jacob. This is written in black and white, Genesis chapter 30, verse 27. As the years went by, Lavan was extremely successful, but Jacob also became successful. And this caused a change in Lavan's attitude towards Jacob. Lavan became jealous, upset, angry with Jacob. jealous of all his success. After 20 years, Jacob looks Lavan right in the eyes, and he says, I notice that the facial expression of Lavan is no longer as it was 3 days ago. Wow. What's the big deal, Jacob? You noticed a facial expression is different. Big deal. That's right. Jacob didn't think it was a big deal. And he continued on. However, shortly afterwards, folks, amazing. Shortly afterwards, God comes to Jacob, as our sages tell us, in Breshit Rabbah 73:8. Chapter 73, paragraph 8. God, so to speak, shakes up Jacob, grabs him, so to speak. Jacob, don't you recognize that there has been a change in the facial expression of your father-in-law Lavan? And you still remain here outside the land of Israel? Go up to the land of Israel. One of the major league commentators on Breshit Rabbah is Eitz Yosef. He sends the ball flying out of the stadium. Tomer Devora, you know it's still going. Eitz Yosef, the commentator on the words of our sages, adds an amazing line. The facial change that took place with Lavan was not a facial expression of being furious, angry. No, that was not the case. It wasn't an obvious change. Not to every naked eye was it possible to detect. Jacob noticed a slight change. It's not like Lavan is out there, he's not out there doing that. A slight change. Jacob noticed this in his greatness. However, he did not act upon that. When the face of the nations turn into a ferocious face, it's usually too late. It's usually that's all, folks. It's history. God commands Jacob, the facial expression as you see it right now, it's not a big difference. It's a small change. But the wisdom of life is to catch the changing direction of the wind when it begins, not when it's too late. As our sages tell us in the ethics of our fathers, who is wise? One that sees the future. If we wait till the face of the nations are furious, it's too late. We're stuck. We're cooked. We're history. The greatness of Jacob was to detect, early detection, to understand that the country, the state, something has changed. The direction, the wind has changed. And now is the time to prepare before the storm comes. Now, when the wind changes at the beginning. That is why this is the centerpiece of our Passover Seder. And you must take a break and learn it. Not read it, learn it. Understand. delve into the subject. Look at Jewish communities throughout the last 2,000 years. Look at empires throughout the last 2,000 years. How they fall. How they're built up and how they fall. Continuing on this amazing lesson of life, lesson for the Jewish people in exile, the wake-up call, the facial change of Lavan, of the nations, of the White House, White Houses. The great Rabbi Moshe Avigdor Amiel passed away in 1945. He was the rabbi of Tel Aviv. Previously, he was a great rabbi in Europe. He received rabbinical ordination from, get this, from two of the biggest names. Number one, the Rabbi Yosef Zavin. He was the Rogatchover Rav. And by the Or Sameach, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk. He received his ordination from the greatest, the Rogatchovi, and also the Meshech Chochmah. In his 3-volume work, speeches, talks that he gave, it's called El Ami, to my people. In the 2nd volume, page 45, he makes an amazing comment. It's written in Numbers, chapter 21, verse 25. If we notice that on the holiday of Sukkot, Tabernacles, Feast of Tabernacles, the Jewish people bring bulls. Don't get them mixed up with the Chicago Bulls. For the nations of the world. On the first day of Sukkot, 13. 2nd, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. For 7 days, the order goes down. This is very unusual because we have a concept in the Torah that we always go up. In holiness, the numbers always go up. For example, on Hanukkah, we light 1 candle the first day. 2nd day, we have 2 candles. We're going up. Olim Bakodesh. We go up in holiness. This is unusual. This is exactly the opposite. What do we learn from here? Rabbi Amiel, chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, before that of Europe, a great Torah giant scholar. We could spend a day speaking about him and his work. He comments, from this sacrifice of the nations, we connect another source of our sages, which could be found in Bamidbar Rabbah, chapter 21, verse 25. There it says, the way of the world is when you have a guest, on the first day, you bring out the gourmet meal. You bring out the chef, gourmet chef, you bring everything. On the 2nd day, you tone it down a little bit. On the 3rd day, a little bit further. 4th, 5th, that is the way of the world. Rabbi Amiel tells us, connecting the decrease of the bulls, which represent the nations of the world, and hospitality, our 2nd source, which shows us that on the 1st day, the hospitality is 100 yards. On the second day, it goes to 70, 50, 30. What's the connection? Rav Amiel says, the nations of the world, represented by Lavan, he too takes the prototype of Jews outside the land of Israel. When I was a kid, there was a great song, Love So Right, Turned Out So Wrong. That is it. He explains to us, learn, investigate what happened to Jacob. At first, he was accepted. He was the community, Lavan's community, open hands, welcomed him. They were excited. They respected him. They gave him equal rights. They gave him all types of benefits. He feels like one of the crowd. However, as time goes by, remember the order of the bulls? 13, 12, 11. Remember the hostess with the mostess brings down the menu. Down, down, down. That is the lesson for the Jewish people when we look at the nations of the world. They accept us at the beginning most. They look at us as equals. Equal rights, voting rights. But in the end, slowly, the facial expression of Lavan, of the White House, of the nations, begins to change. Are we paying attention to the changes in the facial expression of the world, of Europe, Australia, America? Last but not least, on this centerpiece, prototype, Jacob and Lavan, in the book Ohalei Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov Friedman, also, it's too bad we don't have more time just to spend on these amazing rabbis, the greatness. This was a Hasidic Rebbe, moved from Europe to Tel Aviv, began a community in Tel Aviv. In his commentary on the Torah, Ohalei Yaakov, an amazing, amazing commentary, a tremendous lover of the land of Israel. On page 66, listen to his words. Let us imprint them on our hearts, in our hearts. If not for Jacob's early detection of the change of his father-in-law's attitude, he would have lost all of his wealth and barely escaped living with the clothes on his back. If not for the early detection, and don't forget, we said that Jacob, yes, he did detect this early, but he did not act upon it until God came to him and told him, out, go back to the land of Israel. Don't you notice the change of the face of the nations? It just hit me. Remember that great program on Sundays, I think it was, Face the Nation? I think they stole this from Jacob when he said, I noticed the face of Lavan, who represented the nations. Face the nation. Yeah. All rights reserved here, folks. Now you could steal the idea. So the question is, how do we choose to return to the land of Israel? Because of early detection, because of God's intervention, Jacob went back to the land of Israel a wealthy man. If not for the early detection, he would have barely survived, if he would have survived, with the clothes on his back. How do we choose to return to the land of Israel? With our heads up high or crawling back? When the gates are open, when the gates are closing. Okay, so we're going to call it, this is going to be our first class. Don't touch that dial. With God's help, we shall return next week, God willing.